Let's review the sentences for Chapter 10. Practice and review. Quid discipuli hodie discere debent. Let's just go right to the end and get the verb debent. They ought, third person plural, present active indicative of a second conjugation verb. They ought discere. You know this word debent often takes a complementary infinitive, and here it is, complementary infinitive. They ought to teach. Who ought to teach? The discipuli. This is your subject. Nominative, plural, feminine. The students. The students ought to teach, or to learn. To learn. This is an adverb that means today. However, this begins with the interrogative pronoun, which is accusative, singular, neuter. What ought the students learn, or what should the students learn today? And that is your sentence. What should the students learn today? Number 2, fratres nihil cum ratione heri gerebant. Go to the end, we'll get the verb gerebant. They were carrying out, they were accomplishing. Third person, plural, imperfect, active, indicative. Who was carrying out? The fratres, the brothers. This is your nominative, plural, masculine. They were carrying out, they were doing, they were accomplishing what? Nihil, accusative, singular, neuter. It's actually indeclinable. They were accomplishing nothing. The brothers were accomplishing, were doing, were carrying out, is probably your best translation. We're carrying out nothing, cum ratione, with reason. This is your ablative, singular, feminine, and it is the ablative with a preposition cum. Cum always takes the preposition, the ablative case. The brothers were carrying out nothing with reason yesterday. Seems to me that's something brothers often do. Carry on without reason. Number 3, ille magnam virtutem laboris et studii docere saepe audet. Let's go first, last. Ille audet. Audet is third person singular, present, active, indicative. He dares, and present active. I left off the active. Dares is one of those that also takes and expects the complementary infinitive. He dares to teach. Who dares to teach? That man. Nominative, singular, masculine. That man dares to teach the great virtue. The virtue, accusative, singular, feminine. What kind of virtue? The great virtue of work, genitive, singular, masculine, and of study, learning, perhaps, genitive, singular, neuter. Always, adverb. That man always dares to teach the great virtue of work and eagerness or study. Number 4, hic de senectute scribebat, ille de amore et alius de libertate. This man, it's the subject, nominative, singular, masculine. What was it? I say was because I quickly recognized that BA there, third person singular, imperfect, active indicative. He was writing. What was he writing? He was writing de senectute. This is ablative, singular, feminine, ablative with the preposition de takes the ablative. This man was writing about old age. Ille, that man. And you have to supply the was writing again. That man was about love, and another about freedom. Number 5, ex libris unius viri naturam harum insidiarum demonstrabimus. There's a mouthful, demonstrabimus. And that's the verb right here. It's at the end. This is the first person, plural, future, active, indicative. We will demonstrate. We will demonstrate what? Well, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it now. So, what I want to encourage all of you is when you don't know what to do, just take it in order, apart from the verb. And so, ex libris, out of the books. Unius. Oh, that's one of those unus nauta words. Unus nauta. Well, unus nauta. Oh, out of the books of one man. So, out of the books of one man, we will demonstrate the nature, accusative, singular, feminine, the nature of these plots, these treacheries. So from the books, and then we, out of, obviously it means out of, we get exit from it, but it can mean, from the books of one man, we will demonstrate the nature of these plots, plots, that's fine. Number 6. Isti soli victoriam nimisamant, nuter de pace cogitat. So with this here, we have two sentences. Let's handle them first. The verb in this one is amant. Who amants? Isti. Isti, and soli modifies it. This is nominative, plural, masculine. Those men alone love, or only those men, only those sort of men. Kind of a negative. It's a negative connotation for isti. Only those men love, those sort of men love victory, accusative, singular, feminine, love victory too much. Neither thinks of peace. They always just want to win. They just want to win. They don't think about just peace. It's more important for them to win. Is the tone of this sentence. Both of the verbs, third person plural, present active indicative. And this one, third person singular, present active indicative. Number 7. Ubi civitas ulus viros magnae sapientiae audiet. Audiet. Here's that the verb, and it's the future tense. The third person singular, future, active indicative. Now, just out of curiosity, what would the present be? The present would be audit. But that's not what we have here. We have audiet, the future. What is the subject? Civitas, the state, nominative, singular, feminine. The state will hear, or let's throw in the interrogative, when will the state hear any men, accusative, plural, masculine, and any modifies it, any men of great wisdom. This is your genitive of description is what it's called. Genitive, singular, feminine, magnae modifies it. We'll just, when will the state hear any men of great wisdom? Number 8. Ex illis terris in hunc locum cum amicis vestris venite. We have the verb right here at the end, venite. This is your plural imperative in the present tense, and it's active. Come, y'all. Y'all come. Ex illis terris is the prepositional phrase, ablative, plural, feminine. This modifies it. Why is it ablative? Ablative with a preposition. In other words, the preposition ex, preposition. Ex always takes the ablative. Out of those lands, in hunc locum, in plus the accusative, in plus the accusative equals into. Into the place, accusative, singular, neuter, hunc, locus is masculine, masculine, easy enough to fix there. Into this place, cum amicis vestris. With your friends is ablative, plural, masculine, could be feminine for that matter, we don't know the difference. Vestris modifies it, and again, cum, it is the ablative with a preposition. Cum always takes the ablative. Hesitated for a little bit there. So what we have here in this sentence is just piled up prepositional phrases. Out of these lands, into this place, with your friends, come. In English, we would naturally want to put the verb first. Come out of those lands into this place with your friends. Number 9. Tamen post paucas horas sororem ilius invenire poteramus. We've read it through in in Latin. There's your verb, first person plural, imperfect, active, indicative. We were able. And with this verb, as we saw in the first two words, we expect the complementary infinitive. We were able to find is what this word means, to find. Okay. And then we get a little lost. So, let's just take the words as they come. Tamen, nevertheless. After. A few. Hours. And in English, this is where we would want to naturally insert the verb. We were able to find the sister, this is your accusative, singular feminine, ilius, of that man. Is the genitive singular. Could be masculine or feminine for that matter. So, nevertheless, after a few hours, we were able to find that man's sister. Because we have two ways of saying it, don't we? We have this. We can say the sister of that man, or we can say that man's sister. So the two are equivalent. The sister of that man equals that man's sister. And in Latin, you only have the one. You have the genitive case. You have to put it in the genitive. In English, you can translate that in two ways. The sister of that man or that man's sister. And I don't know, honestly, in English, from sentence to sentence, how we determine which one we're going to use. But we do. And however you determine it, it's fine with me. Number 10. Copiae vestrae utrum virum ibi numquam capient. Copiae capient. Copiae is nominative, plural, feminine. Means troops. Vestrae modifies it. Capient, third person, plural, future, active, indicative. Your troops will seize, active, indicative, of the verb capio, third io verb, capere, capi, captum. Your troops will seize never. Seize never. Either man. Accusative, singular, masculine. Either man, there. Number 11. Alter Graecus remedium huius morbi inveniet. The other Greek, alter Graecus, nominative, singular, masculine. Alter modifies it. The other Greek, inveniet, third person, singular, future, active, indicative. Neither the other Greek will find a cure, accusative, singular, neuter, a cure of this disease. That's what the Latin says. I think it's better for us to say for this disease. The other Greek will find a cure for this disease. Number 12. Carmina ilius scriptoris sunt plena non solum veritatis sed etiam virtutis. We got a couple things going on here. The verb is right in the middle. This is third plural, present indicative active. So the songs are, Carmina. The songs are, poems are. Then we have this non solum sed etiam. Non solum sed etiam equals not only, but also. So not only of truth, genitive, singular, feminine, but also of virtue, genitive, singular, feminine. Just coincidence in this case, they both happen to be the same gender. So the songs, the poems of that author are full, modifies Carmina. The songs are full not only of truth, but also of virtue. We shall then come to your land without any friends. We will come, so at that time, ibi, tum, that's your verb, your adverb. We shall, first person plural, future, active indicative. What verb are we going to use? Wenio, wenire, weni, and wentum, and we know that the sign of the future in a fourth conjugation is an IE. In veniemus, we will come to your land. Ad, land is accusative, singular feminine, and your modifies it. Ad tuam patriam, because I think they really mean country. Without any friends, sine is the word for without. Sine takes the ablative. Ablative, plural, masculine. Sine, and for any, I think we'll use ulis amicis. And I think it might be nice just to put inveniemus at the end. So, ad tuam patriam, to our country. Sine ulis amicus, without any friends, inveniemus, we shall come. I mean, unless you want to say that maybe the focus of the sentence is, well, I wasn't going to, but we will come. Okay, maybe then you might want to put inveniemus first. That's the flexibility of the Latin. While he was living, nevertheless, we were able to have no peace. While he was living, he was alive. What do you want to say? Do you want to say while he was living or while he was alive? That's a tough call. I think I'll say doom while he was living. Doom we way bot. This is your of the third person singular imperfect active indicative. While he was alive, nevertheless, doom we way bot, tamen. We were able to have no peace, so we were able. This is all one word. This is your first person plural imperfect active indicative of the verb posum. So poteramus, we were able to have. This is your complementary infinitive. Habere. Well, we'll put the noun in there. No peace. We were not able to have. Oh, we were able to have no peace. Oh, my mistake. I'm going to scratch that out. Nullum pacem. I got caught, as your accusative singular feminine. I got caught in a trap. We were not able to have peace, or we were able to have no peace. And the sentence says, no peace. So, nullum pacem. Dum we webat tamen, nullum pacem habere poteramus. Number 15. The whole state now shuns, and will always shun, these vices. So the whole state, the state is nominative singular feminine. Now shuns. Gosh, what are we going to use for shuns? Whole is some form of totus aum. We don't need a word for the. Now shuns and will always shun these vices. Accusative, plural, neuter. These modifies it. This is now obviously the present. Third singular present active indicative. And this is the and will always shun. This is a third person singular future active indicative. So the state, the kiwitas tota, the whole state. Do they want us to use fleas? Fugit et semper fugiet. These vices haec vitia. And I'm just wondering if we should put what would be a nice Latin word order. The whole state. Maybe we want to start it with tota. Tota civitas, to mean the whole. Or it's I don't know if it's held up in the it's supported by the English, but these vices, because that's what we're talking about. These vices, the whole state, the civitas tota, fugit et semper fugiet. I just think it's kind of nice to put the these vices right at the beginning, because that's what we're talking about. These vices, the whole state. Put those two ideas together. These vices and the whole state. Fugit et fugiet. But these are just touches of Latin. You can, as long as you get these words, you'll be fine. Number 16. He will, therefore, thank the queen and the whole people. He will thank. This is your future tense, third person, singular, future, active, indicative. And remember our idiom here. It is gratias agere. So it literally, in English, if we're going to say he will give thanks, he will do thanks to the queen. So this is going to be dative, singular, feminine, and the whole people, dative, singular, masculine, and whole modifies it. Don't need a word for the. So he will therefore. He will therefore. Ergo, gratias get reginae to the queen et populo toti. Because remember, toti is one of those unus nauta words, and with the dative, it's just going to have in the I. I think it might be nice to say, ergo, therefore, gratias aget reginae. You can say populoque. Tie them closely together. Populoque toti. Reginae populoque toti. The queen and the people. It just, the que kind of puts them together as a unit, which I think is fine for this sentence. But if you don't think it means that, if you don't want to do it that closely, use et. He's doing it to the queen and to the people. Sententiae antiquae. Number 1. Cupiditatem pecuniae gloriaeque fugite. We see here the verb is right at the end, fugite. It is the plural imperative. It is the present tense and it is active. Flee. What do you flee? Look for the accusative in the case, accusative singular feminine. Flee the desire. And right here we have two words in the genitive case, genitive singular feminine, and this one, genitive singular, also happens to be feminine. They are joined by this que. Flee the desire of money and glory. Number 2, officium meum faciam. Here's the verb at the end. It comes from facio, facere, facie, and factum. I will do. This is the present tense. It's the third IO. The ERE, the short ERE indicates the verb is the third conjugation, but this IO here in the first principal part means it's the third IO. I will do. What am I going to do? My duty. Accusative, singular, neuter, and my modifies duty. Number 3. Fama tua et vita filiae tuae in periculum cras venient. Verb is here at the end. Again, it is the third person. It is the future tense of a third IO verb. Third plural, future, active, indicative. Out of curiosity, what would the present be? Present would be veniunt. 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 So they will come, who will come? Your fame, your reputation, and the life of your daughter. Daughter modifies it, fame, nominative, singular, feminine. Your reputation and your daughter will come in periculum, in plus the accusative, and this is indeed the accusative singular neuter. In plus the accusative equals into, cross equals tomorrow, adverb, cross equals tomorrow. Interestingly enough, and I believe I've said this before, pro equals for, so procrastination equals for tomorrow. But that's just an aside, because this sentence means your reputation and the life of your daughter will come into danger tomorrow. Number 6, vita non est vivere sed valere. That should really have a long ERE over there. Life. Nominative singular feminine. Life is not to live, but to thrive, to be strong. And that's how they would say it. In Latin, in English, we would say life is not for living, but for living well, being strong. The V's make sense in Latin because, vivere, valere. It just sounds good in Latin, and it's very difficult to reproduce that in English, honestly. Life is not for living, but for thriving, I think, is perhaps the most adequate, or a very adequate translation. Number 5, semper magno cum timore incipio dicere. The verb not quite at the end, but I begin, and it's one of those words that takes, this is first person singular, present active indicative. Dicere is your complementary infinitive. Are you getting used to those yet? It's the present active infinitive. I always, adverb, always. I always begin to speak with great fear. Nervous speaker. Si me duces musa coronam magna cum laude capiam. Capiam is the verb. We've really got two parts here. It's an if-then statement. If duces, we don't need to translate that yet. Second person singular, future active indicative. If you shall lead me, muse. Capiam, this is also future, first singular present, future active indicative. If you will lead me, I will take the crown with great praise. Let me address this duces here in the future tense. In English, we tend to, I say we misuse the future tense for the present tense. Let me just give you an example. What are you doing tonight? Oh, I am going to the store. English. What are you doing tonight? What will you be doing tonight? Where will you be later? Or maybe the question is, where will you be after dinner? I don't know what you're asking. What are you doing tonight? Whatever your question is. Answer, I am going to the store. I guess that's a better answer for, what are you doing tonight? I'm going to the store. No. What are you going? I'm going to the store. Now? The response is now? No, tonight. Well, if you're going to the store tonight, why in English would you use the present tense? We do that all the time. We use the present tense for the English, for the future. Oh man, I can't wait till next week. I'm going to Disneyland. Well, you're going to Disneyland now? No. Next week. But you do realize you use the present tense, and you said now. You said I am going to Disney World. Can you imagine having to teach that in English? So the peculiarity, I would argue, is in the future tense of the Latin. Latin consistently uses the future tense when they mean the future tense. If you will in the future lead me, muse, I will take the crown. And someone, it would just be very confusing to someone, a Latin speaker learning English, wondering why we're using the present tense all day long for these stinking futures. So there's my aside, but I think it's an important one. And it's important to think about in English too. It's not wrong to say, I'm going to the store, I'm going to Disney World, even though they're happening in the future, we consistently and regularly, and my hunch is more often, use the present tense. Number 7, vive memor mortis, fugit hora. This is your imperative, the verb at the beginning, the imperative, the singular imperative in the present tense. Live, mindful of death. Time flees. That's, there's not a lot of analyzation to go on with the rest of this. This is the present tense. Fugit, third, singular, present, indicative, active. Number 8, rapite amici occasionem deora. Take, this is these sentences in the Sententia Antiquae are often, proverbs type things or sayings. In this case, take, friends, the opportunity of the hour. We would tend to say, only because that's the phrase in English, seize the opportunity of the day. This sentence says, take the opportunity of the hour. I don't know the circumstances, but that's what it is. Occasionum is accusative, singular, feminine. Rapite, of course, we've seen it a lot in this, oddly enough, in this chapter, the plural imperative. Number 9, pauci veniunt ad senectutem. Few come. This is the third person, plural, present, indicative, active. Remember we saw veniet earlier. This is the present tense. The few people come to old age because, in ancient Rome, people would have died before they got into old age. Number 10, sed fugit interia, fugit tempus. A lot of you ask questions about this one. I think it's just overly dramatic. But it flees. Meanwhile, time flees. I can't say this is my favorite sentence, so I would just encourage you to pass over the double use of the fugit and accept that it's just a dramatic sentence. Overly dramatic if you ask me. But it flees, meanwhile time flees. And there you go. Now, perhaps in context, I would feel better about it. But in this case, it is what it is. Number 10, fata viam invenient. Fate will find a way. This is your future tense, third person plural, future, active, indicative. Fate will find a way. We usually think of love will find a way, but in this case, fate will find a way. 12, bonum virum natura non ordo facit. Notice the use of the bonum virum right at the beginning because that's what he wants you to, the author wants to put foremost in your mind. Accusative singular, a good man. This is what we're talking about. A good man. Nature, not rank, makes. So I don't care what position you hold. I don't care. It's your nature. It's who you are that is important, not whatever title or office or rank, ordo, you hold. Number 13, obsequium paret amicos, veritas paret odium. A lovely, lovely sentiment in some ways. Obsequium, transparency yields friends. Truth, compliance. Sorry, compliance yields friends, and truth yields hatred. So, if you want friends, don't tell the truth, I guess is the dubious message here. Or perhaps, I think this is just, I prefer to think of this as just be tactful. Be tactful, that's what it is. Hey, do you like what I've done with the house? Oh, I'm glad you're pleased with the house. Because if you say, no, it stinks, truth is going to yield hatred. So compliance. Oh, it's so you. That's a little life lesson for you, perhaps. If you have any questions, please ask.